Hey, what's up guys? You know what? Usually on Sundays, I do a Q&A Sunday and I answer questions from YouTube. The thing is, I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna keep doing that, but I've had so many questions on other platforms as well, like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So I thought this time, what I would do is I would answer right now some Twitter questions and I'll go through, and some of you guys might be following me on different platforms, and if you're not, then do jump on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, connect with me. So I'm gonna answer some Twitter questions right now, but then if you have questions and you're watching this on YouTube, comment your questions below, and then next time I'll be answering your questions. So I look forward to hearing your questions. So let's see what we've got on Twitter. And I haven't even really thought about the answers I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna read the questions, read the answers, and see what we got. So Michael Nicole says, how do you compartmentalise risk psychologically when you first start out? How I assess risk is the same when I first start out as really now. In fact, you might think when you first start out that it's riskier. It's actually, decisions and property investments get riskier the more successful you become. Why? Because you've got more to lose. So when you're starting out, if you're starting out with £10,000 and that's all you've got in the world, you haven't got that much to lose, so it doesn't really matter too much. And what I do is, before I make any decision, firstly, I look at the return on investment. So before I'm doing a deal, before I'm taking on, and a deal is risk. Every decision that you make is risk. And anyone that thinks that you can invest in property or do anything 100% risk-free is actually deluded, because the definition of an entrepreneur is someone that takes risks in the hope to make money. But the biggest risk you can ever make is not stepping out, dying knowing that you could have done so much more. But anyway, so firstly I'll look at the return on investment. I'll just look at the straight facts and figures. But then what I do is I'll look at the best case and the worst case and the likely case. And depending on those outcomes, if the best case scenario is going to be, I'll make £1 million on this deal, and the worst case is I'll lose everything and I'll become financially crippled and be divorced and it will ruin my reputation and I'll lose other people's money and that's the worst. I'm already not that excited anymore about the million, because the worst is really bad. But then I'm going to look at the likely case. What's the likely case? The likely case is I might make 100 grand. I'm just not going to do it. For the sake of probably making 100 grand, I'm not going to risk losing everything. However, if the worst case is, look, if it all goes wrong, if everything fails, I might lose 10 grand. If it goes to plan, I'll make $1 million and I'll probably make 100 grand. I'm then going to do it. So it's just looking at the best case, worst case, likely case, probability of that. Also having exit strategies in place. And what if I really don't know what to do? If I'm really unsure, this is how I make a decision. I'll say, what would I advise my best friend to do? Okay, if I'd advise my best friend to do it, then I'll advise myself the same, because sometimes it's easier to advise your friend than it is to advise yourself. So that's the kind of thing I look at. Make sure you're making the decision based on logic rather than fear. You should never make a decision on fear. And that's how I decide when to take on risk. I hope that answered your question. Geez, I could have done a whole video on that, for real. Okay, Mark said, where are the solicitors that know about lease option agreements? I've not been able to find one for the love of trying. Okay, it's a difficult one because there's not that many solicitors that deal with lease option agreements. There's only a few, and I used to give out my whole power team on YouTube and everything, but my power team started getting really worked up with me, so I wouldn't want to just on YouTube recommend specialist solicitors because I don't want them to get bombarded. But what I would probably say is jump on the Facebook groups, find people that are doing deals and tap into their power team. The best way to build any power team is to just find people that are successful. Even me, like if you come down to any of my advanced training, you'll have dinner with my whole power team potentially. So find people that are doing it, ask them for referrals. Referrals are always the best way to build your power team. Sorry if I couldn't be any more helpful. Who else we got? Okay, investment consolidations. I'd like to ask a bit about time frame with Grant Cardone. What message you got from the enterprise? Interesting to see some feedback on the trip. Okay, so I've met Grant Cardone a couple times now. He came on my YouTube channel, which was really cool. And then I went down to Miami and spent a week with him and did a bit of one-on-one mentoring too. The biggest thing that I got from Grant Cardone was that he is a big thinker, like really big thinker. And also he's really mastered the art of using other people's money. And I think for me, the way I got started was using other people's money and joint venturing. But then as I became more successful, I was using my own money for everything. In fact, I was funding other people's deals only. But Grant was like, dude, you're only going to grow so big if you do that. You need to really continue to leverage your money. And I think it was a bit of a mind screw, to be honest. But he's he's operating on a level which not many people are. And he's one of the few people that I will pay to mentor me. Because it's hard to find mentors when you get to a certain point, but Grant he's good. So I enjoyed it, and I've got way more sessions booked with him as well, so I'll keep you posted on how that goes. And all the stuff that I pay hundreds of thousands of pounds learning from my mentors, I'll share as much as I can for free on YouTube to you guys. Because I believe what goes around comes around, you reap what you sow. Okay, Roe Dix. So you put a lot of contracts on social media, which has a lot of value. I get a house, a HMO, or whatever the case. Maybe I think it's a good deal. How do I get legal contracts to make the deal to the next step to close the deal? It depends on the deal, dude. If you get a deal and if you're buying a house, you need to get a solicitor. So if you've got a HMO or you're buying a property, you just need a solicitor, and you don't need a special solicitor to buy a normal house. You only need a special solicitor to draw up a special kind of agreement, but just get a solicitor, for sure. Okay, Mac my size. Can you help me get my first one as guidance? Then I'll do it myself with the knowledge that I get. Yeah, man, I'll help you get your first deal. That's what I do, bro. I put YouTube videos out, I put training on, and your first deal is always your hardest. Once you've got your first deal and you've done it properly with the correct training and support, you can just duplicate that again and again and again. And that's why some of my students are now like doing crazy things, because they're just duplicating again and again what they learned. So yeah, you know where I'm at. I'll leave a link in the description with a free 2-day property investors crash course, because you'll love that. It will definitely give you enough to get started. Okay, JM, what's the #1 reason that inspires you to achieve more? Okay, great question. What inspires me to achieve more is significance. Success is great, but once you've tasted significance, success wanes a little bit. And I think seeing the impact that I'm having upon people and the stories and the lives that I'm helping, I know it sounds cheesy, but it really drives me. And also, I think just being the best version of myself I can possibly be. You know, I want to continually get to a new potential, a new level. And it's easy to think that when you become financially free, then suddenly it will just be, you can just relax. And whilst you can relax, in my experience, when you have the choice to work, you'll probably relax for a couple of weeks and then you'll get to work. But because you're working from a position of choice and abundance, you'll actually work harder and you'll actually become more focused and more mission driven. So that's like me now. Scott, first buy to let, where do you think is a good town to start? It really depends, Scott. I mean, on so many factors. I think the Midlands is pretty good for buy to let because the Midlands is close to everything. It's the center of the country and house prices are pretty cheap, but not ridiculously cheap. And there are some pretty nice parts. So I'm going to say Birmingham, but there's so many different factors. Depends on what you want to get out of it. How would you do it for someone with bad credit? Asking for a friend. Of course you are, Josh Sawbridge. I know your credit's perfect. So if you've got bad credit, what would I do? I'd do a few things. Firstly, I'd be working on getting my credit better. Secondly, I would be doing strategies that don't require you to have good credit, namely rent to rents maybe, or lease options, or deal packaging, while getting cash flow but also experience. Thirdly, if you really want to buy a house and you've got bad credit, I'd partner with someone, do a joint venture with someone who has not got bad credit. So that way, leveling it out so you can do it. Maybe get a guarantor or a mortgage host or a joint venture partner. So there's just some solutions. Hope that helps. Okay, Andrew says, how to balance between being a caring landlord and not overspending on property? Great question. Andrew, I think I used to be a little bit tighter than I am now. But that's because I didn't have that much money. So if something wasn't great with the property, or if the tenants had been there 5 years and they move out and I'm thinking the new tenants could redo the new carpet, but a new carpet's going to cost me £1,000 and I don't have £1,000. So it makes it more difficult. Now, sometimes I probably overspend. And I think it's a really tough one. I think the key is Number one, making sure that you're being reasonable and fair. So have the tenants got a nice home? Are you providing a good standard? I think that's the first thing. Secondly, is you want to be looking at return on investment for everything. So sometimes you can go a bit, it's impossible to work out the exact return on investment, but if you get nice new carpets, even though you don't have to, you're going to get nicer tenants. The tenants are going to pay more rent. The tenants are going to stay longer. So it's just looking in, look, it's $1,000, but I'm probably going to make that back because of all the things I've just mentioned. So I think just make sure that the house, I wouldn't go crazy. You know, don't get like really expensive carpets because you'll be demoralized as a landlord. If you spend thousands of pounds on really fancy carpets that you might have in your own house, and then the tenants move in and don't value that, don't appreciate that, spill coffee, have dogs and cats ruining it, it's just really irritating. How to start with real estate. Matteo Olivia. Just keep watching my videos, dude. Keep watching my videos. Stan Smith, how do you get paid through a limited company? Do you have a salary or take monthly dividends? Okay, that really depends on how you structure the company. I mean, I pay myself a wage, but I would definitely go and speak to an accountant about how you're going to take money from it. What I'd probably suggest in the early days is just don't take any money from it. All the money that your company makes, I'd reinvest it into property. I'd reinvest it in the company as long as you can, Cloud, how can I get a job with a band on tour without any musical experience or skills? I think you're probably asking the wrong dude, actually. I don't know how you can get a job with a band without any musical experience or skills, but I'm sure, I tell you no, I'm going to answer that. I don't know why you asked me that question. Learn to sell. If you can sell well, i.e. sell yourself, you can get pretty much just about any job in the world you want. So learn to sell. Okay, Lewis, is it smarter to stick to one side business to fully expand it, or focus is having multiple side businesses better? Okay, I think you want two businesses. You want a business which is focused on cash flow, bringing in cash flow, and then you want a business that's focused on investing in long-term security, building wealth, legacy, two businesses. So in property, you could, for instance, you could have a business that's deal sourcing, so you're selling deals, it's bringing you quick cash, and then you're then investing that into property, buy-to-let. If you are, if you've got another business that's really exciting, maybe you're a musician or you are a solicitor or whatever, and you've got a business and you're thinking, I don't want property to be a distraction. It won't be. Just focus on making cash flow in your business and then investing smartly with that money. So two businesses. And if you want more, you can have more, but that would be a general rule of thumb. So you want fast pound and slow pound working together to create wealth and build legacy. What skills do you believe should be required for any business to be successful? This is from Lewis again. Please stay away from obvious answers like dedication, determination, etc. I'm talking about skills you can work with and freelance. Okay, so sales. Sales is the most important skill on the planet, because when you're dealing with property, even property or any business, you're dealing with people. Your house is your product and your tenant is your customer, but ultimately the money doesn't come from the product, it comes from the customer. So being able to sell a tenant on moving in and paying you rent, being able to sell an investor on selling you their property below market value, being able to sell a joint venture partner on coming up, it's all about being able to speak to people, create win-win situations, add value, and influence people and get people to do business with you. So sales is the number one skill. Do you have £124,000 to lend me so I can get my first HMO deal? I'm about to lose over the line since my investor pulled out, says Teal Property Investments. Unfortunately, I don't, because I don't know you. I do back people's deals and fund people's deals quite often, but they tend to be people that I know who might be my students, people on the academy. So appreciate the question and really hope that you manage to get the money if you haven't already. And good job in asking, because hey, if you don't ask, you don't get. Okay, Kalok G says, can you mentor me? Yes, I can mentor you, but you have to pay. And it's not cheap. But yeah, I can mentor you, man, absolutely. But you might not need mentoring from me. You might need to just take action on the knowledge that you already know. So I think mentors are really important, but more important is just having the knowledge and the training, but being able to motivate yourself. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Will you let me be part of your team and work for you, says Sam Jones. Come down for an interview, buddy. It's recruitment@samuelleeds.com. And I think that is just about everything whether it's easier to get a reply off you via Twitter or Facebook. I don't know, man. I'd say I check Facebook probably more. I check Instagram and YouTube the most. Twitter, I'm answering all my Twitter questions right now, so I guess it's a good job you asked on Twitter, but I try and check as many as I can, as often as I can. I have a great team as well that sometimes respond to messages when I'm busy or I'm out of town. But anyway, that's everything. I hope that was helpful. If you've been watching this on YouTube, I'd love to get some great questions from you as well. So comment your questions below. Property questions, business questions, sales questions, things that are niggling you, been bugging you for a while. Comment below. I'll do my very best to answer. My name's Samuel Leeds. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out the Financial Freedom Challenge, this is when I started all over again from scratch with nothing. I became financially free in 1 week. Then you can check that out right here. If you'd like to see me do the Financial Freedom Challenge with someone else and help a normal guy with no money become financially free, you can check that out right here. Or maybe you'd like to become financially free yourself and you'd like to come into the Property Investors Crash Course, get the tickets right here. Don't forget to subscribe over here. Thank you so much.